Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow, and today is one of my favorite type of episodes. It's the type of episode I get to show something and tell you about it. So I'll give you a little bit of memorabilia and give you the story about some of this collectible memorabilia and give you hopefully some suggestions of some anime that you can watch that you haven't seen before. Okay? So, as you know, Arctic Animation has fan-subbed some very popular TV shows at the very beginning. Orange Road, Maison Ikkoku, Pat Labor. But not only did we do TV shows, we also did some really popular animations that were featured in these magazines, and that I rented from the Japanese video store. But I just didn't know what was going on in the story, so I figured, okay, well, let's go buy the Laserdisc, let's get them translated, and let's put them out. Sure enough, they were so popular that these major companies eventually picked them up and then made them commercially released. Kind of rendering the fansub useless, but that's all right. We got them out earlier and got people interested in these titles, and again, probably gave some free test marketing for these companies to find out that, hey, this is a good title. We should probably get this licensed, and they did, and it probably ended up being a pretty good seller for them. Okay, so I'll get started with our first title. This particular one here, Soul Bianca. Okay, so here's the Laserdisc for number 1 for Soul Bianca. Okay, and it's the 2 OAV set. So again, I had to purchase the second Laserdisc, which is this one right here, for Soul Bianca. Okay, now this is a really popular series because, again, it's another one of these female pirates type of a series. If you interested in like starships and kind of like this sort of gun wielding female characters, this basically had all the very major elements of the 3 Gs that a lot of people liked to see in animes at this time. So we figured, this is a pretty popular title. Okay, now, the other thing that was really kind of neat for me about this one is also one of these shows, which is one of the very first shows that we actually made a good AMV for. Now, again, AMV is short for anime music videos. At this time, we didn't have the technology as you do nowadays with non-linear editing to be able to take clips and pieces from different types of different places of anime and put them all together. The way you had to do it on a VCR, you could only pick the scene that directly follows what you're right now doing, and using the flying erase head, you could get relative frame accuracy, but you couldn't be, it wasn't as perfect to, within hundredths of a second, for example, to do, and you also couldn't do transitions. So no waves or or swipes or fades and that kind of stuff with this thing without different equipment. It was just basically straight from one cut to the next cut to the next cut. And so I remember one of my friends at the time, his name was Garth. He was over, and I said, hey, a suggestion, why don't you try to make one of these anime music videos? Just basically throw a bunch of scenes together, pick your favorite song type of thing, and make it work together and make it into a music video. And what he did is he ended up picking up the Laserdiscs for Soul Bianca and started picking different scenes and that kind of stuff out of there. And the background song that he picked was Power from Snap. Alright, again, maybe later on I will post up some of the different AMVs that we had made using linear editing. So again, different technology that you guys are now accustomed to with the computers and everything. But again, it might be kind of an interesting sort of retro look at how anime music videos were done at this time. So again, if you have it, this is now commercially available. Soul Bianca. All right. The next video that I would like to point out is this particular one. Okay. This is Starship Troopers. Okay. So, as I will comment, a lot of anime clubs and that kind of stuff in the early stages weren't big enough to be on their own as an anime club. A lot of them had to start off as part of a sci-fi club, or or maybe even a comic club, and then spawned and was able to separate because of their numbers to become an anime club. So I picked this title because, well, obviously Starship Troopers is a very popular novel by Robert A. Heinlein. And of course, was made into a live movie, and then later on made into a animated CGI computer rendered graphics kind of TV series. Okay, but even in this early time, there was such a thing as the Japanese animated version of Starship Troopers. So this is the laserdisc for number 1, and here's number 2, and number 3 for Starship Troopers. So this was exciting because again, I saw this at a video rental store, and I thought, wow, this is like great. This is like a Japanese animated version of a traditional science fiction classic. And so when you watch it, of course, some people will argue, well, it's not an exact adaptation of the book, but it's actually pretty good and it's pretty close. And after watching Roughnecks, which is what the name of that CG TV series was called, you could say it was actually a better rendition of the book and the story than even that was. And definitely the animation quality was a slightly little different than your standard Japanese animation, because they try to because obviously all the characters are kind of westernized, right? But they still did draw it in a Japanese animation style. And so that's why this is a really an exciting OAVA series. And again, we also subtitled this one a little later in the chronology, because again, had problems finding people who were willing to translate this particular thing, because again, it only really has a sci-fi sort of nostalgic type of niche market, shall we say. And so, Daisuke wasn't my normal, interested in this particular type of series, so I had to get someone else to get the translation for this. But eventually we managed to do it, and we did subtitle it and make it available to different people who asked for Arctic Animation Fansubs. So again, if you're looking for a classic series and you're interested in things like how how the Spartans and that stuff worked in Halo, then definitely you want to check out how this kind of early mech suits and that kind of stuff worked in Robert I. Heinlein's book, Starship Troopers. So again, great anime, Starship Troopers, the OAVA, 3 OAVAs as a Japanese anime. Definitely something to check out. The next anime that I want to get into is, again, it's not quite in chronological order of what things that we actually released, because again, there are many different OAVAs that we released when we first started out Arctic Animation, and of course, the main TV series that we did was, of course, like Orange Road, followed by Maison Kaku, followed by Patent Labor. But as I said, there was many different OAVAs in there, and I'm not going to exactly go through them in order, because there's different things I want to bring out to show you when I get to certain types of series. So that's why I haven't started with Orange Road or done an episode with Orange Road quite yet, because there's some special stuff that I want to show that, because again, that TV series has a little bit more of a sentimental attachment to me, so I want to make sure I grab all the special things to show you in that show and tell episode. So again, subscribe below, and you will get that episode notification when I make those episodes. Okay, so get to do that. But the next anime I want to do for a Laserdisc is, again, I mentioned in an early episode that sometimes Daisuke has a really enthusiastic attitude about particular shows. And one of the type of shows that he got several people interested in the early times is something called Kokoro Greenwood, or Here is Greenwood. And he was so excited about this particular series that I remember we went down on a road trip down to San Diego Comic-Con, and he literally had, he was reading the manga at the time, and he'd be always constantly reading along, and he come to a really funny point or something like that. Well, for example, when the quote, the female character was trying to go to the washroom and is wondering why she was in the guy's washroom. Anyway, you will find out when you watch this rather strange series. Anyway, so he'd point this episode out, or this little segment out in the manga, and he'd literally hold the manga up to you, and he would, basically, cell by cell, read you what's going on and tell you what's going on in the story. Sometimes he'd be like so enthusiastic, he'd actually almost voice act all the different lines of the different characters going up, and put all the extra emphasis on that, right? So it's like, for example, the president of the dorm room or whatever, his room was right beside the main character's Haskawa's room, and he ended up getting stuck with the female character, and he basically said, we are next door, and if we hear some screaming going on, you're gonna get it, right? And of course he's going, why is this always happening to me? Things like that. Anyway, so he brought this out, and one of the people that we met when we were down there was Robert Gutierrez of Ranma Project, and he many times had pointed this out to Robert, and he's almost reading different parts of the manga to him, and Robert got really interested in this series. He'd never heard of this series before, and all of a sudden he's now someone interested in this thing called Greenwood, or Kokoro Greenwood, or Here is Greenwood. So what I wanted to bring out was that we eventually decided, okay, well, the anime for this manga came out, had to get it. So Daisuke again quickly did the subtitles for that, and so basically this is when we picked up Here is Greenwood. Okay, now this particular laser just had volumes 1 and 2 on it, and then we went on to this one, which is volume 3. Here is Greenwood, volume 3. Okay. Again, this is an uncommon sort of didn't fit the 3Gs sort of mantra for different shows that are being released right now, but it proved popular enough that eventually a commercial version was released. And not only was that, it's one of the rare ones that with the commercial version that came out, they actually released a commercial version LD. So this is an English LD, okay, released by Software Sculptors, okay. So this is their volume 1, okay, and then they also split it up into a volume 2. This is the laserdisc for the volume 2 in English, and this is the volume 3 version in English by Software Sculptors. Again, collectible items now, and of course, don't worry, they've released them on DVD. So again, for these who don't have laserdisc players, yeah, they do have them for you. So again, as a fan of Greenwood, it was great that we initially got the Japanese LDs so we could get the fan subs out. But then it was almost a completed goal by having one of the commercial companies pick it up and actually properly release it in a commercial version. Because then not only did you get a better video quality, all the subtitles and all the errors and timing, all that stuff were all got fixed and all put onto the laserdisc, and then you also had the ability to do selectable subtitles and all that other stuff that you do nowadays with all your commercial releases. So again, stuff to check out if you're looking for a kind of a cute high school story with a kind of a odd thing in it. Kokoro Greenwood, or Here is Greenwood. Check it out. So the last series, or the group of series I'm going to cover is what I'm going to refer to as one of my video game ones that I particularly like. So again, I did a video cast with the Happy Console Gamer just not so long ago, and we did an interview episode as well as he did a mention in the SakuraCon episode that he does. So again, if you want to check that out, I'll put the links down at the bottom here so you can have a look at what he has done, and listen to more about how the anime was in the early 90s there, and how it may differ from what you get now. Okay, but the series I want to get into is based off of some video games. Okay, and the ones that I'm going to cover is something called a Graduation and Debut. Okay, now before I do that, one of the things that I just pulled this out of is something that you've probably never seen, because it's not, even the Laserdisc format, as you see, is an outdated format. But here is something that you'll probably never ever go to a let's say a Staples or something and see. This is what they refer to as a record mailer. So of course, this is a box which is designed to mail records. Okay, just like boxes used to mail CDs or in boxes to mail, bubble pack envelopes to mail letters and stuff. This one particularly is used to mail records, and of course it just happens to be the perfect size to mail laser discs. So obviously a piece of packaging that is no longer available at your Staples or Office Depot. Obviously, very present for the time. So again, that's part of this box. But inside this mailer held the DVDs for this particular box set of Graduation and Debut. Now you ask, what is Graduation and Debut? Graduation and Debut is one of those high school sims for the PC Engine, and later for the PCFX. Now I loved playing this game. I played it over and over again. Graduation is, you're the school teacher and you have 5 students. So here's the Laserdisc for Graduation number 1, okay? Again, these are 5 students that are in your class as the teacher, and you have to see these students every day, and they have different mood swings and different things that happen to them. And you as the teacher, okay, this is the Laserdisc for number 2, you as the teacher have to basically try to keep them encouraged and make them happy when they're sad, and all the different problems that they have. You as the teacher are going to try to fix that. And now in the game, you're trying to keep their marks up, and you're trying to keep them happy. You're trying to keep them from getting depressed or too tired, they start slacking off and things like that. So you've got to do things like help tutor them, give them gifts and things like that, and whatnot. And and basically try to get them through school so they actually graduate. Now, of course, the graduation part is the particular sad part, because obviously when they graduate, they'll more or less go all in their different ways and go on to do different things in their life, and then that's when you get the ending. And then in the PC Engine version of the game, a lot of times, I would play the game and I'd shoot for the everybody gets married ending. So all the girls, the 5 girls, will get married. Now, of course, I didn't 100% understand what some of the dialogue that comes up and some of the stuff that's written on the screen about that they're married or like whatever. But there is a chance that the girl gets married to you, the teacher. Okay, so of course this is a big thing where Maison Ikaku, where the Kyoko gets married with her teacher, and the whole thing's like this, and all this kind of weird stuff happens. But of course, this is just a game, right? So don't get too excited. All right, so Graduation. Again, very well animated, based off the TV series or off the animation game, and there's only 2 OAV sets in this particular segment. Okay, it ended up being proven that this is so popular. They actually made a second game called The Graduation, and they put it on the FX. They changed some of the characters, a new set of characters. Again, the game got a little bit more complicated than I could really handle, because they added more different things, a timing of day and things like that, which made it really tough to keep track of the kids. And so it was really hard to manage and keep track of them in that fashion. So it became a little hard to play, but it was a predecessor for me for playing a lot of Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball, because again, that's the same kind of idea where you had to manage. It was less of a volleyball game and more of managing what your partner's emotional status was, and react appropriately for when they behave a certain way. Okay, it's sort of controlling them and manipulating them so that you get the outcome that you want. Okay. Now, if that is to get them to get married with the teacher, okay, then that's a good ending. The series ended up being so popular in the animated version that not only did they make Graduation 1 and 2, which is based off the game as a school game, they also decided to make Graduation Victory, which is something like this. Okay, so this is where they take the 5 characters in Graduation and made it into a giant robot, being dispatched to save Japan type of series. Okay, so again, so they made 2 volumes. That's volume 1, and that's your volume 2 for that. Okay, that's called Graduation Victory. Okay, They also made another type of a game for the PC Engine FX at this time, and it was a revolutionary game, and it was called Debut. Okay, again, similar type of art styles as the Graduation. Okay, here's the laserdisc for Debut. Okay, now Debut is basically you're the manager and you control these 4 girls in their singing debut, acting debut type of thing. And again, same thing. You have to manage their schedule. You have to manage their, emotional type of settings and that kind of stuff. Okay. And again, this is the laserdisc for number 2. Okay. Again, same sort of animation style from these things, and a lot of the same Seiyu actors and that kind of stuff. So again, a fairly popular game for that series. Again, a little too hard for me to understand all the different nuances that were in the game, so I couldn't play the game as well as I played the Graduation game. But definitely that was one of my favorite. Anyway, these animes we subtitled, and again, personally for myself, it was it was a great treat to find out that they made this kind of anime, and I love the ending on Graduation, because it does definitely remind me of back in high school, grade 12 type of thing, and it has a really a nice touch at the very end where it even rings true today that yes, in grade 12 after you graduate, your life will change, because again, a lot of your friends at that time are going to go their own separate ways, and you will too as well go your separate way, and go and pursue your life, in a path that may be different for everyone else, and that's what Graduation will do to you. And and that this is a nice reminder of that time of your life, which is which you live. And again, if we had a DeLorean that could go back in time, I would definitely go back to that time again and do it all over again. Maybe not quite the same way. I was a little bit nerdy in school, so I think I'd change that. All right? Okay. So, if you're interested in giving me an email or contact me for different questions, or you have suggestions, by all means, directly below me right here is a link to my website and my contact information. You can then shoot me an email or write me a DM or something. That'd be great. I'd like to hear from you and get some suggestions and maybe some ideas of what I should be talking about. I've already got some ideas from other people about some things like this, the status of fansubs, how fansubs have changed, the effect of the industry and things like that. So those are great ideas. I'll put those into future episodes. So again, you want to hit subscribe there, so that way you get notifications of when new episodes will appear. All right. The other way you can participate is I've been given this Toronto Blue Jays cap by one of the users named Joe, and I will do a shout out in every episode to a particular character that is on your team, and maybe sort of give them a suggestion for an anime. Okay. And so the one I decided to pick this episode is a Roberto Alomar. Okay, he's your second baseman, and he's your number 12. All right, he's also the first Canadian Toronto Blue Jays inducted into the Hall of Fame. Okay, so I thought 12. Okay, well, without getting into Seattle Seahawk fans and that kind of stuff. Okay, so I'm not gonna go there, but I thought, okay. Think of a great TV series that has 12 episodes. Okay, well, a lot of series usually have 13, especially if they're longer series. But then again, episode 13 usually ends up being the summer episode that has to tie into season 2. So that may or may not count. But a short TV series I'm going to pick out this time around is something called El Hazard, the Magnificent World, or that's the OAVA series, but the alternate world is the actual TV series, 12 episodes, okay? Again, if you want to get into the beginning of the series, I'd go for the Magnificent World of El Hazard, 7-episode OAVA set, nice and short, nice and concise. You can watch that as a predecessor, but again, if you want to watch the TV series, slightly different story, happens later in the time. Again, it's about these characters that travel from modern day Earth to this kind of alternate world or fantasy world where different things happen. They have this thing called the Eye of God in the sky, which is supposed to be this this kind of a ruling weapon type of thing that people are trying to gain control of. Okay, so Roberto, in dedication to your number 12, I recommend El Hazard. Okay, the alternate world. That's the TV series. Okay, so until next time, see you again.